You might see it as a test, but the universe sees it as an opportunity. Hey Star Family, let's sit and have a chat. Just a quick disclaimer, everyone, before I get started with this video. The topic that we're going to be discussing basically can seriously be broadened further beyond what I'm about to discuss with you, especially like when we consider different situations and scenarios, right? But for the sake of time, I'm going to stick to the present context, and perhaps maybe at a later date I may elaborate on how this idea of the universe testing you may be considered in other situations. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so let's talk about this. Does the universe test you? Does it test you? Does it shit test you? Okay, let's keep it real. Does it shit test you? Well, that's a good question. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it was around the most recent Mercury retrograde. I came across a video on YouTube. It was in my recommended. I don't subscribe to this channel in any way. But it was talking about how Mercury retrograde is a time where often we come across situations and circumstances where we get triggered. And the past does end up coming up and regurgitating itself. Now, that this person did not use that word, but that's how, I perceived it. And yeah, technically Mercury retrograde does make you regurgitate some shit, right? So I was totally on board with that. Because I could relate. I have experienced Mercury retrograde uprooting things, right? And it does do that. They used an example in regards to somebody triggering you, and how Mercury retrograde, the energy around it can cause interactions like that, where you get triggered by other people, situation, things, whatever the case may be. And it can make you spiral backward, right? Like 5 steps, what do they say? 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. And that to be cautious of those scenarios where you get triggered and you could end up spiraling and falling backward, undoing all of the work that you previously did. Again, I can agree with that. What I didn't agree with, though, is what this person called a weak spirit, okay? Having a weak spirit if you allow yourself to get triggered. Now, is it weakness, though, if the triggering makes you aware? If it points out what still needs worked on, it uproots it to show it to you, and to mirror it back to you, so that way you can see there's still some healing and some work to be done. Now, a weak spirit wouldn't be able to recognize that as an opportunity to heal what's been laying dormant. A weak spirit, yes, would take that and allow it to spiral you into oblivion. But also, let's have compassion. Okay, let's have compassion for people who do get triggered, who still have healing work to do. Let's not call them weak. There's no weakness in facing your shadow. Mercury retrograde does do that. It oftentimes will place scenarios and situations in front of you so you can face your shadow. But let's not call people weak, please. Let's have compassion for those who are on their journey, still healing, still learning, and still becoming self-aware in their journey. It is not weakness if you can see in the moment that you're triggered, that you can see in the moment that, oh, you know what? That still hurt me. That still bothers me. You know what? I still need to heal that. That's not weakness when you are aware of it and you're self-aware enough to recognize it in the moment. Let's take that opportunity with that person that triggered you, let's say, or that scenario that triggered you, and say, okay, thank you, universe, for showing me that, for uprooting that, so I can see it, so I can face it, and I can finally put it to bed. You see? There's no weakness in that. So is it a test when the universe does this to you? When the universe shit tests you, let's say, and brings things up that trigger you, let's say, or puts you in, let's say you're in a scenario where you are triggered. Is that a shit test from the universe? I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see it as a test. I see it as an opportunity. I think the universe sees that opportunity to show us what still needs healed, what still needs worked on. But is it a test? No. First of all, you can't take a test you're unaware of. And okay, let me give an example. Okay, you give somebody a ride, you arrive at your destination, and they turn to you and say, hey, you messed up your license renewal exam. And you're like, wait a minute here. I know this is probably a shitty example, but you say, wait a minute here. I didn't even know I was taking a test. How could I fail something? Right? Since when do I need a pop quiz to renew my license? It kind of feels like that's what they were implying the universe does to you. But, I mean, think about it. See how unfair that scenario would be? That would be like the universe playing games with us. I don't think so. I don't think the universe does that to us. I don't believe for a second that the universe punks, pranks, or plays those 3D level mind games with us whatsoever. We may do that to each other, yes. People shit test each other all the time. But the universe, really? This was what was implied, and my heart immediately rejected it. To imply that it does would say that the universe is malevolent, and I don't believe that to be the case. We, however, think about this, we're just like going off left field for a minute. We, however, play this game to become more aware of ourselves through everyday experience. And everything that we may perceive as a test is really an opportunity, again, for us to become more aware that it's an opportunity. So we can level up in the game itself. You know, I appreciate that video, even though I didn't agree with it. The reason why I appreciate it is because it gave me food for thought. I kept what resonated, I rejected what didn't, you know, and that's the beauty of thinking for yourself and your own personal discernment on your spiritual path, to be able to dissect, right, the things that are placed in front of you and the choice that you have whether to accept them or reject them. Well, in this case, I rejected a lot of that video, but I also used it as an opportunity for me to think a little deeper on the topic. No, I don't think the universe goes out of its way to shit test you. What I do believe is that there are opportunities to make us more self-aware. To imply that the universe shit tests us is also saying that the universe is malevolent. I don't believe that. There's always an opportunity to learn a lesson in any given situation. And there are times when a lesson is placed before us multiple times, let's say in different packages, for us to learn from them and then apply them. But it's never a shit test when that happens. The universe, I believe, God, Creator, Spirit, wants us to level up in our journey. And if we didn't grasp the opportunity to learn from something the first time, it will wrap it in a different package and present it a different way. So we can learn from it and move on from it, level up from it, and not repeat it ever again. For example, let's say you're a student in school, right? You have an awful word problem, like math word problem, and you can't make sense of it, right? In this scenario, the first scenario that you're reading on your paper, you know, it's talking about apples and oranges, right? And you can't make sense of it. So the teacher, you ask for help, and the teacher comes over to you and she explains it in a different way. She explains it this time using trucks and cars. And then somehow it magically clicks the second time around in a different package. I do believe that that does happen, but again, it's not a shit test. Please don't see it as one, because you can become very bitter and cynical that way if you think that the universe is always out to get you. So this video ended up turning into more of a rant, right, I guess. But I just want to let you know that that's, you know, if you ever feel tested, don't see it as a test, see it as an opportunity. The universe is placing an opportunity in front of you to see something that needs to be seen, maybe understood, brought into your awareness, maybe something to give you clarity upon, maybe something that needed uprooted, maybe something that needed healed. It's not a test. So I have this pointed at the woods, sitting on a tripod in a very precarious position, but I figured, you know, let me just focus on the woods. It's beautiful, the colors are gorgeous, the leaves are falling.
Well, Star Family, I will leave you here.
Take care and keep shining, everyone.